and their associated research challenges, right? So we will be talking about this, and we will be seeing why and where IoT can be applied in smart cities and to solve what kind of problems and what are the research opportunities over there. As because we here are having kind of faculty members from the different colleges are expected over here. So they may be looking after their own opportunity regarding research opportunities in this kind of areas, right? So we'll be touching upon that. So if I'll try to see the city scenario as on date, earlier during 1800 throughout the globe, only 3% of the total population was residing in kind of city. However, the scenario got changed over the period, and it is expected or projected that by 2050, almost 70% of the total world's population will be residing in the cities. However, city is not expanding in that particular proportion. So, what can be the problems in that? So, this report is actually from Gartner, who is working for this kind of IT related surveys and all. So they are projecting this that about 70% of the total population will be there in the cities by 2050. So if we'll try to see the city scenario in current time, we will be saying that there are a number of problems are getting popped up due to overcrowd and due to overpopulation. What are those? Water scarcity are there. Traffic congestion is there. Maybe public transportation problem is always there. Then energy demand, public safety, and healthcare. If we try to see the scenario, this kind of scenario we can see even in our city wherever we are residing within India. That basically there that particular pipeline or the resources which is there within the city, they are not basically what you can say sufficient, and you have to somewhere actually substantiate those resources using some additional this kind of tankers or some kind of facilities. Like for transportation, these Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, and everywhere, I think the same scenario is there of the traffic and transportation. We need to wait a number of hours on the road, and in other
framework for ERP in Python. Have you heard about that?
In other words, if you try to see that basically.
Just 1 minute, Pastor Bernal. Dear participant, during the session, please switch off your mobile or unmute yourself, because sometimes in the phone, when call is coming, automatically it becomes unmute and some noise is coming, so it gets disturbed because it is recorded videos. So please cooperate with us. You can start.
Yeah. So what is happening that basically this kind of scenario, and due to this, basically we are almost spending 1/3 of our life on the road only, right? Or like this. Maybe the energy scenario or in the energy demand is the same condition. We are not having so much energy which is required to basically fulfill the city scenario, right? So what we are doing is that to solve that, what we are doing is that we are kind of adopting some kind of load setting, that one area will be off and another area will be given some kind of energy supply, and then when that will be suppose 2 hours we are giving to other area, so first area we will be doing some kind of load setting. So somehow we are managing. Then comes public safety. So public safety is another issue in all kind of cities. This kind of camera is now a common sight in everywhere wherever people are residing within India or outside India. So public safety is another concern. Healthcare is another concern. So if you try to see the scenario, even today, basically there are considerable strain on the existing infrastructure. So and basically if we are believing on Gartner's report, so by 2050, if 70% of the populations are getting migrated to cities, I think the scenario will be getting more worse, right? So to accommodate new demands, what we require, if this kind of scenario is there, we cannot expand land, we cannot expend too much resources. But what are the way out? We have to optimize everything. We have to use the resources, available resources in more smarter way. So smart doesn't mean always that you have to use IoT. Smart doesn't mean always that you have to use IT or some kind of communication or some kind of smart devices. But smart in smart cities scenario, it means that how to utilize the existing resources or whatever the available resources in more optimized manner. Okay, so we can enhance the services. We can reduce the utility cost or improve the communication, and by better interacting with the mechanism between utility service providers. Nowadays, if you try to see that those service providers are working in isolation, they are not interacting with each other. Suppose there is a kind of electricity provider over here, some DVC is there or some kind of DMC is there, or maybe DSP is there within Durgapur I am talking about. So maybe there are multiple service providers, but they are not having any idea that what kind of availability of this electricity is there with other service provider, whether they have some kind of extra electricity or not, to spare it for the other section or other consumers, right? So they are not connected in a such manner that they can optimize the resources. As a result, what happens that at some places resources are abundant or not getting utilized or underutilized, but some places it is in the scarce format, right? So what's the solution? Solution, because as an engineer, we know that everything we wanted to see in a kind of form of equation. So we have made another equation over here. C is a parameter which is an input to a function, and we have to get SC. Now C, if we are considering as a city like this, and we wanted to have a city like this, so what could be the transformation function? Let us see. I think throughout this lecture we will be trying to find out what can be this transformation function which can transform this city into that kind of city. Okay, so if you try to see the definition of a smart city, I think many of us are having this kind of perception that a smart city means some kind of IoT has to be deployed over there. Some kind of smart devices or gadgets must be there, which can utilize or which can be utilized for giving better services or like that. But by definition, if you are going to by definition of the different authority, we may know something more about a smart city. If we will be going by definition of IEEE, which has been published in 2015, they are telling that smart city is a city which brings together, now mind the terms, technology, government and society. Okay, so technology is one component, however government and society need to come together. Okay, so human being is another factor over here. Unless until human being is coming, you cannot make any city as a smart city. Okay, to enable the following characteristic, what are the requirement? Smart economy. So our economy has to be smart in that way. Smart mobility, smart environment, smarter people. Now, smarter people means it's not always smarter in the terms of utilization of the gadgets, but smarter means who can utilize the available resources in the most optimized manner. Okay, then smart living and smart governance. Another authority in this area, the Smart Cities Council, they defines a smart city in another way. That is where digital technology and intelligent design. Now, technology is one part, but another part is not technology again. This is intelligent design. Means again, resource optimized design have been harnessed to create smart, sustainable cities with high quality living and high quality jobs. So they have related smart city with living and jobs. Now, another kind of authority in this area, again, they are having different definition of a smart city. This is effective integration of physical, digital, and human system. So you will be finding some kind of similarity in all those definition that they have involved somewhere human system. So all those things, actually, whatever definition we are taking, some kind of physical objects and human system, and maybe digital technology is coming to optimize that those particular things, right? ISO has given another definition. It is a new concept and a new model which applies the new generation of information technologies, such as the Internet of Things, cloud computing, big data, space or geospatial information integration to facilitate what? To facilitate the planning, construction, management, and smart services of the city. Those services may be consumer services like electricity, maybe water, and many more. So if we'll try to see or analyze these four definitions, we'll be finding that ISO has given most comprehensive definition, okay, which actually comprise of IoT, cloud computing, big data, space, or geographical information system. And they have also defined that why we need to bring these technologies. Okay, so another definition is there, but I'm not going through that. It is again talking about the sustainability and economic development. So the above raises the important question. One question basically is coming over here, that when does a city become a smart city? When we can classify a city as a smart city. Now, every country, every nation has their own definition and own parameter to classify. Even India is having their own parameter to classify a city as a kind of a smart city. So maybe two country may have different definition for the smart city. Okay, so there are two stalwarts in this particular smart city domain, Sadove and Sekhar. They ask the question, what makes a city smart? Which is genuine question. And actually, as because we have seen the different definition, there is no similar definition from any of the authority. They are again questioning a city that heavily employs any given technology. Necessarily is any smarter than a low-tech city? Can we tell that if somebody has not implemented IoT, some city has not implemented some kind of technology, they can be less smarter than that city which has implemented it? I think no, because it's not only implementation of the technology. It is the technology should be implemented for optimizing the existing resource or available resource for better living and better quality of life. Okay, so if we'll try to see and again consider the definition of IEEE 2015, we will be finding that there are 6 characteristics of any city which makes it smarter. First is the economy should be smarter. Means whatever the financial resources available there, that should be coming into the market and in optimized manner. Smart mobility. So mobility, communication, or that kind of transportation, that should be having basically in such a way or controlled in such a manner that the resources which are available, that should not be getting scarce. Smart environment. Means environment should also be controlled in a smarter way, smart people, smart living, and they are again telling smart governance. Means whatever the government is giving services, that should also be in some kind of connected or smarter way. So the concept of a typical smart city we can understand with a video. You just try to see the video. If it is not visible there or you cannot see it, kindly prompt someone. So, So here you have seen that one photograph has been taken and immediately it has been published on the cloud. Okay, now you see. Here the health is being checked up by the doctor directly from the band of the person, right? And all analysis is available within minute. So even through travel, they are not actually misutilizing the time. They are utilizing that at the time with some kind of entertainment or something. They are monitoring their health and they are actually alerting that you have taken more energy today or more calories. So you may not take this ice cream now. Even vehicle is connected. If something is getting stuck over there, they can directly inform the governance people to send some kind of help. So this is again an example of IoT for a smarter life or a smarter quality of life. See, digitally we are giving receipt. That if I have received the item, digitally. So the basically conclusion of this particular video is that everywhere this gadget helps us to optimize our lifestyle, to optimize the uses of the resources, available resources. So which technology can provide all? The answer is Internet of Things. Yes, Internet of Things is a multidisciplinary area which has the potential to be utilized over here. Okay. So, but the common saying in IoT domain is that IoT is the technology. Okay. IoT has been developed, but it is still searching for the problems. If you are talking with many people, basically they will not be having idea that, okay, in which places we can utilize this technology IoT. Okay. And or what are the places where it can help. People are still searching for the problem which IoT can solve. So we will be trying to see in that in a smart city domain where these IoT things can be applied and what are the problems it can solve and what are the research problem we can find into those domains. Okay, so imagination is your limit. I am speaking about few use cases, but you can think more in that category. So if we'll try to find out key verticals targeted in smart cities, there are 14 verticals have been enlisted by Government of India. Now we are coming to Government of India. So there are 14 verticals have been enlisted where technology can play the role. Okay, so you can get this technical report even on our internet. It has been published in January 2019, which has adopted these 14 key features one smart city should be having. Okay, and they have basically also identified these 5 stakeholders who are the citizens. Means whatever smart city thing you are making, you must be involving citizen. In the morning session, somebody was asking, can we use community IoT? Yes, community you have to involve if you are trying to make any smart city within the country, India. Okay. So infrastructure, technology, and data, these three things you have to utilize, because why? To utilize data-driven decision making. So we should not be making any decision without any data or based on only perception. We should be having our basically implementation of any decision based on some kind of backed up by some kind of data. So how to collect that data? Again, technology will be coming into picture. Third stakeholder is innovation and enterprise. So somebody should be investing in that. You cannot basically, as a kind of researcher or kind of faculty or kind of academician, we cannot directly go and implement anything into any city, right? So somebody should be coming into a picture who can create that smart ecosystem, who can invest in that, who can innovate there. Then leadership and strategy. Obviously, leadership and strategy is required, because unless until they are basically thinking of implementing any technology, we cannot go for that. And then measurement and learning. Whatever we are doing, are we learning from that? Are we getting something out of that? So typical application of smart cities we will be trying to find out. So we are going through this. So first is structural health monitoring of buildings and structure. We are on daily basis, we are trying to, if you are following some kind of news, you will be following that some buildings got collapsed immediately. It's not immediate, right? Nothing is happening immediately. Though it was giving signature, but there were no person who, or no technology who could read that signature and created that alert that this building is going to collapse. Okay. So if there is no such system, you will never be knowing, and there will be a casualties and bound to have that particular casualties due to this collapsing of that particular building. Okay. So we need have opportunity to implement IoT over there to monitor structural health of building and structures. Okay. What they can do? They can do continuous monitoring of old buildings and structure, whatever structure. That structure may be a kind of breeze, maybe kind of flyover or anything. IoT may provide a distributed structural integrity measurement. Means what they can do is that suppose there is a breeze, we may place a few sensors here and there within the breeze at some strategic locations, and they are giving some kind of signature, some kind of signal to the cloud, and that cloud analytics part, they can take all the signals and do some kind of data analytics, and then they can find out, yes, it is a signature, or the signal what we are getting from that structure, it is a signature for kind of collapse, and that may raise emails or kind of notifications to the different stakeholder that this is going to collapse. You please take some action to evacuate the people, or basically do something to keep it vacant. Okay. So next, integrated sensors. To what we can do is that we can integrate number of sensors within the building, which can monitor continuously the vibration or deformation within the building. They can also monitor kind of pollution, temperature, and humidity, which actually results in the aging of the material which has been utilized within that particular structure, right? So they can have, we can make some kind of prediction model which can utilize these parameters to predict when it is going to collapse, or when some kind of event is getting generated. It is also it has potential to reduce periodic expensive structure testing. So nowadays, what is happening? The smart cities people, what they do is that they're time to time they're doing some kind of structural testing and giving certification that yes, it is a habitable structure. People can live over there. But if you are not, or if you are forgetting that to do that kind of expensive structural testing, I don't know, means what can happen over there. So here the research challenge a particular researcher may have, like if we have got suppose maybe hundreds of sensors in a structure or any kind of a structure or even distributed throughout the city, can we develop some kind of algorithm to fuse the data from all those sensors? So data fusion from multiple sensors is a big research area, and people are basically throughout the world, people are working on this, and mainly people like who were earlier working in the robotics domain, they are also aware of this kind of data fusion problems, which can utilize multiple sensors to model some kind of event or some kind of gather some kind of meaningful information out of it. Next typical application, if you'll try to see, so next typical application we can find out in the waste management domain. In any city, if it is getting crowded, waste, solid waste, these are bound to come. And we can, wherever we are basically residing, this waste management is a kind of very serious problem everywhere. So can we implement this IoT for this waste management thing? Okay, so for better and optimized waste management basically solution. So what here we can do over here means what are the possibilities of what I am talking about, that we may have a smart containers which can tell itself or which can raise the alert itself that I got basically overfilled or I got filled. You please send some vehicle to collect the garbage from my dustbin, okay, or my bin. So what is happening due to this, that you need not to unnecessarily crowd your transportation system by sending without need the vehicle all along the cities. Only you need to send your vehicle to those bins where it is required. Okay, so by using that, what you can do is that you are at one place you are saving the fuel. Second place, you are actually reducing the transportation this congestion, and third place, you are also basically keeping your city clean in optimized manner. Fine. So here IoT can be easily deployed or applied, and that kind of solution can be realized. Okay. Here the optimization of the collection vehicles route can also be one of the problems. Suppose we have got hundreds bins within the city, right? And maybe 50 bins or 30 bins are crowded, basically got filled up, and we have to collect this garbage from this only 30 bins. Can my algorithm suggest some kind of optimized route for that particular vehicle that which can cover all 30 bins? Okay, so if that kind of algorithm output is being given to the system, obviously that will save the fuels, so that may save the time and also resources, and it also reduces the cost of waste collection. So here challenge is another challenge of deployment, initial investment, as because nowadays these bins are not that kind of a smarter bins. So we have to, or the government or the municipality or kind of governance system, they have to come up with some kind of investment strategy which can be utilized for deploying these kind of technologies, which can find out the route optimization for collecting and the cleaning of the city, right? So researcher can work over here for route optimization problem. That suppose we have got 50 bins and only 30 or 20 bins are occupied, or 20 bins we have to cover. So it's a kind of graph theory. There is a well-known problems are there, shortest path problem or cover means optimized cover problem. So that kind of problem we can utilize as a computer scientist or as a kind of ECE researchers over here. Okay. Another thing is that if the if we are talking about the scalability and your whole domain, the communication domain is kind of whole city. What kind of communication medium you will be utilizing? Here you cannot use your Bluetooth or that kind of thing. Okay, and you have to have some kind of communication medium or technology which can span or which can has a footprint of within complete city, right? So now people are talking about this 4G and 5G, which has the possibility of covering means complete city. Even other than this 4G, 5G, there are some kind of ISM band communication technologies which are kind of NB-IoT or LoRa, which are much cost effective. Means you need not to pay the too high for their bandwidth. Just you have to pay for the per messages kind of thing. So only one message is enough. They need not to get connected to the cloud all the time. Only when it is getting filled up, they need to send a message. For that, basically, they need some kind of communication medium or some kind of communication technology. Okay, so there is another challenge over here, that how we can utilize the public communication infrastructure like 4G and 5G or cellular network, or we can, even many company like Tata, they are coming up with the LoRa WAN. LoRa WAN is another technology which is having long range, maybe 50 kilometer even, and it's a very low bandwidth and low power consuming technology. So that is very fit for this kind of IoT applications. Next application, if you'll try to see, in a smart city scenario, we'll be considering this noise monitoring. Many times there are a number of basically notifications or some kind of legal guidelines are there that from 10 o'clock in the night, you cannot play some kind of DJ or some kind of music to basically prevent the disturbance of some kind of examinees who are actually preparing for the exams, or some kind of old age people who are suffering from some kind of disease or so. So noise monitoring in any kind of city is another challenge for the authority. Okay, so there obviously one community, if crowd sensing we are doing, that can help, but can authority do some kind of this or create some kind of infrastructure for measuring this acoustic pollution throughout the city, throughout the area? Okay, there also IoT can help for online noise monitoring services. Now again, this IoT not to transmit everything for the privacy reason, all the audio, everything to the central location or cloud. Only they need to monitor locally the level of that what dB, up to what dB it is permissible, and whether it is crossing or not. If it is getting crossed, that they need to raise an alert to the authority that this area it is getting violated. You please take some kind of action on that part of, right? So next comes in this particular area, another challenge, another research challenge is that can we have a space-time map of the noise pollution? Means which area at what time or which time it is commonly these areas are kind of means what you can say city area or some kind of market area where this kind of noise used to be there at this particular level, and we cannot decrease it. But about after 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, this is not expected. If something is happening, means there is some kind of violation over there. Can we make this kind of digital map, which should be having a kind of a spatio-temporal map of this noise pollution? Another is that automatic classification of source of noise pollution. Now it is not basically polishing is not required in this technology world, right? So polishing can be done by this technology itself. Can we train our algorithm to identify if noise is coming or if this acoustic pollution is more than a particular level? What is the source? What is the source? Can we identify the source? so that better information we can provide to the authority. So that is another area of research people can work. The major challenge over here is that privacy concern. So if suppose this kind of noise pollution devices are there within the city, how to basically preserve privacy of the citizen, as because nobody wants that my privacy should be invaded by someone externals. Okay, so that's why basically whatever algorithm or whatever thing we are making, so privacy preservation is one of the issue over there. So next application, if you are thinking of, if we are trying to think of IoT application in the kind of a smart city scenario, so next is environmental monitoring or air quality monitoring. Can we do that? Suppose we are in a market area or in Delhi condition. Okay. Now, what government did in Delhi, even in our one CSR lab is there in Nagpur, they have been given a kind of responsibility to deploy PM monitoring sensor at different corner of Delhi. So they need to compare online monitor all the areas that at what time, at what place, which place, what is the PM level, or what's the air quality index, AQI. Okay, so they are deploying these kind of IoT sensors throughout the Delhi city, and they are trying to monitor that particular city for this. So that is one of the possibility where IoT can be deployed. But what's the research challenges in those areas? Okay, so first thing can we raise or can we devise some kind of algorithm which can give us, or kind of recommender system we can better tell it, which can give the joggers the idea that which route they should be following, which has less air pollutant at this particular time in this particular part of the city. Okay, or if we are taking some kind of patient or carrying some patient in the vehicle, which route we should be following, that minimum will be basically getting targeted with this kind of air quality problem. Then the challenge, again, the research challenge in this area can be modeling dynamic environmental condition which may impact air quality. What I mean over here is this, that basically the air quality is not static. That actually getting changed due to wind velocity, wind direction, and many things, right? Maybe say some particular pollution creating some vehicle passed away. So the air quality index may be getting increased immediately, getting spiked. And maybe after a certain time, if wind is there or wind velocity or wind direction is good, so that can be reduced. So can we devise some kind of model which can give some kind of prediction that which area will be more polluted at what time? Okay, so that can be utilized for kind of making recommender system or kind of advisory system for the people. Next application, if you try to find out, transportation. Transportation is another area where this particular IoT has got application, and it is being utilized a lot in Western countries, okay, to solve the traffic congestion problem. Nowadays, basically what people are doing, they are utilizing this CCTV surveillance for traffic monitoring, but that is not the only solution. Okay, so we'll be seeing at the end of this particular presentation that what can be other solution. But here, camera-based traffic monitoring, let us consider for the time being, as because we have referred this particular this literature of IEEE transaction of vehicular technologies, show where they have used this low-powered, denser solution or denser source of information. Means, can we utilize IoT sensor over these buses, cars, and this kind of transport signal, or at these signal places, right? And using those sensors, can we gather what's the condition of traffic at any moment of time at any place? So what I am doing is that I am not directly observing the transportation. I am trying to deduce the transportation or the congestion based on the secondary information. Secondary information means at particular moment of time, how many vehicles are there? Okay. So how many vehicles are there? So we are not trying to utilize some kind of camera over there that, okay, this particular area got crowded. No, what we are doing is that we are using very low power devices, which can be kind of pervasive in nature, and it is being utilized in all the basically component itself. So what's the benefit of it? Benefit is that we need not to spend too much energy for or 24/7 monitoring of any place if it is not required. Suppose this area is getting vacated at certain point, right? So there is no means in 24/7 monitoring of this area if it is not crowded. So that kind of high cost technology or high cost networking we need not to make, and we can utilize the IoT technology over here for this these areas. Okay. So what are the challenge? Again, this privacy concern is there. Privacy concern is there. One challenge. Another challenge is rerouting of traffic based on local advisory. If can we dynamically basically route the traffic based on our perception of kind of traffic jam over at particular point, so that particular commuters can go or can reach to their destination in shortest possible time with the lowest consumption of their fuel. Okay, so they need to optimize both time and cost. So can we devise some kind of algorithm which can basically by privacy preserving, they can suggest you that, okay, you just opt this route, you will be finding, as on date, we can see this in Google, Google Map, they are giving the shortest possible or slowest path or fastest path for reaching to some kind of destination. Such kind of algorithm for any particular city is required. How Google is doing that? Again, Google is doing the same kind of technology. They are utilizing this taxi data, or if someone is utilizing those kind of maps and actually running on the road, so those data is getting fed up to their server, and some kind of analytics they are doing, and they are finding that, okay, this area is populated or this area is congested, or if they are utilizing some other route, they can be reaching to their destination in the more faster manner. Okay, so after this traffic congestion problem, the next problem if we will try to see where IoT can help in smart cities is energy monitoring. As because what we have basically show in the initial slide, that these are the areas where this smart city needs to optimize their resource. So energy is another area where this basically IoT can be utilized for monitoring the energy consumption. Sometimes what happens, see, just I'm giving you one example. Suppose people are there in office, right? People are there in office, and during that time they are utilizing their laptops and lights, everything in their office region. But suddenly after office time, maybe 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening, all the persons are getting shifted to their residential area. So what happens? There is a sudden surge of electricity demand at the residential area, and there is sudden kind of extra availability of the resources like electrical energy or maybe your bandwidth. Bandwidth means your mobile bandwidth in some particular area, because the whole population got shifted from one place to other due to this contextual thing, means this time context. Time context means during the office time and the off office time. So can we model this? Can we predict that what can be that particular energy demand at particular point at particular place, and accordingly we can network the suppliers, electricity suppliers, that we may be requiring more energy at this particular area comparison to that particular area, and accordingly we may load set at that particular area which is not requiring that part of energy. Okay, so that can be, and that is the concept where this smart grid people are talking about. So smart grid is nothing but actually these grids are getting interconnected. They can talk with each other. Okay, and using that particular those technologies, what they are doing is that they are optimizing their buying and selling their energy or this electricity to each other and optimizing their particular profit. Nowadays, actually, EV, these electrical vehicles are also coming. So that is another source of consumption, which can actually disturb the balance of the energy distribution. Okay, so what we can do over here is that utilizing these IoT sensors or IoT technology, we can gather some all those data, and that may be a big data kind of thing, huge data set we need to gather, and then we can model something for pre-planning of the load setting and prioritization of the area where this electricity are required. Okay, so we can directly move or buy those electricity from those area which has got abundance or underutilized, and that can be utilized in some other area. So challenge over here is that another challenge over here is that can we identify by suppose what I can say, suppose there is a immediate surge in particular area for the consumption of electricity. Okay, so can we identify the source by modeling or by getting the data? Can we identify the source? What is the source of for this particular spike? And we can, if we can identify that source, we can actually plan our resource better. That okay, what kind of electricity, or should we give the electricity or too much or not? Maybe like industrial electricity are much costlier than the domestic electricity. So if it is a demand of electricity, domestic electricity is more, so company can decide what kind of procurement of additional electricity I can make at that particular point of time. Okay. So next, if you are going through, so again in the major cities, the parking is another area of problem, where basically these parking slots are scarce, and we need to have more parking area to basically park all the vehicles in better manner. So that congestion, actually parking, what happens if you are not having a space for parking, it actually triggers the congestion within the road, and congestion again getting triggered. And this due to triggering of congestion, the transportation problem gets created. So if we are managing this particular parking spaces in efficient manner, then many things can get solved in the transportation domain. Okay, so here IoT can be utilized. Maybe in cab slot availability information can be delivered to the vehicle itself. Can we deliver the vehicle on the vehicle dashboard or some kind of information board that at which place at this particular time how many slots are vacant, so that the vehicle need not to move around the city just to see that where is the parking space open or basically free, just to see for that. So IoT again can help over here in smart parking management thing. Here, intelligent display can show the route to vacant slot. Okay, some kind of display there on board or some kind of outer area of that particular parking space that, okay, you now move to this area and you will be getting a particular open free space for your parking. So here also kind of if we are knowing or if the authority is knowing that this area is getting filled up very fast, they can maximize their profit by introducing kind of dynamic parking fee. If it is vacant too much, okay, you take less fee from those parking cars, and if you are having scarce of parking space, you may take a premium from those car owners for parking their particular this cars at those places. Okay, so they can also actually do some kind of dynamic pricing for mitigating this demand and supply problem. Here NFC and RFID type of technology can be utilized for finding out the reserved slot or a kind of open space. Again, there is another research problem over here, that is shortest path finding, that which path the people should be following to get the nearest possible free space for parking. Then dynamic fee calculation, again, this is a problem, that what kind of model we should be utilizing to maximize our profit, which can basically utilize my complete space and maximizing my profit. Okay, so we cannot increase too much basically this parking rate, so that the other people may be going to the other parking area and I may not be getting that much profit out of it. So dynamic fee is having a constant also. So some kind of optimization technique is required as well. Another problem here is smart lighting. If we'll try to see that particular any area, the whole night or whole day, the lights are actually on, in on condition. And what it does is that actually it consumes unnecessary energy from the different particular grid, right? So those resources can be utilized in more optimized or more better manner if we can utilize some kind of technology to mitigate these kind of problems. So smart lighting can be implemented for optimizing the street lighting efficiency in kind of and which can be an important feature for a smart city. And this particular smart street lamp can be also adaptive enough to adjust itself based on the requirement or based on the lighting condition within that area. Suppose maybe at 5 o'clock, it may not be too much dark, okay, but some kind of augmentation of the lighting is required, okay. So that particular light may not be required to run at full efficiency. They can basically start lighting that street, but with lesser luminosity. So what will happen? They are just adding on the light condition, right? They're not running, but as the darkness is getting increased, this light can start increasing their efficiency, this brightness, and then it can, using this kind of adaptive behavior, they can maximize or optimize the energy consumption. Okay. Then it can also help automatic tracking of faulty light. Now, number of times what happens that in a certain patch, lights are not there. Why? Because nobody knows that this light got damaged or got fused. Okay. So can we place some kind of sensor, some kind of IoT devices over there, which can basically monitor itself, self-monitoring that, okay, I got damage, I am not basically able to light in this area. So that may raise some kind of alert to the technician or some central control center that this light needs some kind of fixing, okay, which can be taken up by some maintenance engineer, and that can be utilized. So the smart city can have this kind of functionality. So by self-monitoring or self-optimizing kind of resources. Here another research challenges can be like devising algorithm for vehicles route prediction. Now, why route prediction is required? Because if some vehicle is not going in that area, okay, why we need lighting in that area? If no one is going in that area, I don't think that there is too much requirement of the light over there. So we may light that area, but with lower intensity, okay. Then we can devise some kind of algorithm which can predict or which can monitor the direction of the people, at which area people are moving. That area will be lighted, other area may be less lighted. So illumination level and time can be modeled, and that model can be fit into that particular system to optimize the energy consumption. So though people are doing this kind of a smart lighting system, but those smart lighting system are not having that any kind of algorithm. They are just putting some kind of passive sensors and actually utilizing those passive sensors to enhance the brightness or lessen the brightness. But computer science people can do pitch in there and devise some kind of algorithm for prediction of the vehicle route or prediction of this kind of human being who can go in that area, and accordingly they can switch on and off those smart lights. Okay. Next comes water management. Can we utilize IoT in that also? Yes, we can utilize. In which manner? We can monitor the leakage. We can monitor that suppose water supply came, whether it is getting overflowed from our particular tanks. So we can actually minimize that wastage of water, and by minimizing or optimizing that particular water uses or water supply, we can do is that again we can utilize that in a smarter manner. Okay. So if we will be looking after this kind of irrigation, or this the the area or the field which is mostly consuming the highest amount of water is the agricultural field. Okay. So can we devise some kind of irrigation scheduler or smart irrigation system which can optimize the requirement of the water or requirement of the irrigation in certain area of basically agricultural domain, right? So for that also there are a number of or kind of models are in place. Like evapotranspiration model is one of the example I am giving you. That evapotranspiration model, what it is doing is that it is actually observing the microclimate at particular area. Microclimate is what? At that particular, at any particular point of place, what's the wind velocity, or what's the sun level at that particular point, okay, or what is the humidity or temperature. Using these parameters, what you can do is that you can model that how much transpiration, water is getting lost from those fields as a result of transpiration, means evaporation kind of thing. Okay, and those you can utilize that model. You can utilize that for irrigation scheduling purpose. That how much water we need to replace to make a constant level of water in particular crop area. Okay, this may help in minimizing the wastage of water due to over irrigation or under irrigation of the crops. So inline, another area where IoT can help is that inline water quality testing. Now people are following that. They are taking samples and taking those samples to the lab and testing it, then placing the report. And by that time, basically, many people are basically getting suffered due to poor quality of water. Can we place some kind of IoT sensor which can continuously monitor those kind of water supply inline and directly raising some alert, or if the quality of the water is not coming up to the mark, they can even trigger the valve operation and put off the this particular water supply, so that the people should not be suffering from any disease due to this poor kind of poor quality of water. Then leakage detection is another thing, and supply. If some supply is getting basically devoured, or what you can say is getting stuck somewhere, so that kind of alert can also be raised using IoT. So if we'll try to, I'm just trying to give some kind of case study at CMARI. So what we did is that we have developed a smart village area at CMARI. Maybe a number of departments of CMARI has got involved in that, and they have placed their own technology. And in those area, the number of IoT-based technology have been tried. And I'm just giving you some of the examples what we tried over here. So one of our department actually made smart solar energy meter. Okay, so what it does is that actually it is a prepaid card operated meter. Okay, so this is a kind of solar energy meter, and the solar energy is getting supplied to the different kind of area for consumption purpose. Now people are habituated, or some in many areas people are habituated of actually making a theft of this kind of energy. They are not trying to pay for that. So what has been developed over here, this is again same area patented technology, and even got commercialized as well. So what has been made, it is a kind of prepaid smart card based meter. You are actually recharging your SIM by paying some money, and then you are putting your SIM inside your mobile, and then you can talk, right? Based on that concept, this kind of smart cards are there, which can be recharged outside. And once you are recharging it, your meter will be, or your energy will be coming to your home. And once it is getting finished, the amount is getting finished, your energy or this energy supply will be disconnected from your home. Then again you recharge and do that. So this is a kind of, and this particular, how much energy has been consumed, this is getting collected at a kind of central location, cloud-based location, using which we can find out that how much energy is required, or how much energy has been generated and what has been consumed till now. Next is that in precision agriculture, this kind of thing, like in the morning I have shown you, that these were our field where we utilized our own IoT sensor, and for this irrigation purpose. What we did is that actually we made a kind of multi-parameter IoT sensor, and that those IoT sensors can communicate directly with the internet, and whatever the cloud we have configured there, they are sending directly all those data to the cloud. Now these data are maybe a kind of local weather station data. Based on that, what we can model is that how much irrigation will be required at this particular place, and accordingly we will be operating our motor. Otherwise, means there is no need to go to this area manually and see whether water is needed. Then we will be operating the our pump, and then we will be irrigating. So everything is getting modeled based on the environmental condition, and based on that particular condition, that much water is getting fed by the basically the installed pump, water pump. Next project, what has been done in the CMARI by some department is that smart lighting project. This is our colony area where basically these smart lighting, if you can try to see, there is a kind of plug-in ports over there on these light poles, right? So what it does is that it actually getting fitted with some kind of sensor which monitors the availability of some kind of human being near this light pole. If someone is there, this light is actually enhancing their brightness, and this particular road is getting lighted, fully lighted. If no one is getting observed over here, what it does is that it just diminishes itself. So by that manner, it is getting basically utilizing the or what you can say optimizing the energy consumption here. Next project, if we'll be trying to see at CMRE what we implemented, it is again in our colony area. It's a smart parking. Okay, so smart parking area, basically another group of researchers have done that particular smart parking project. So what they did is that these particular slots, all those parking slots have been numbered, right? And now this number are getting monitored. Suppose you are seeing here green light, here your red light. So red light is local feedback that this particular slot is engaged or some slots are vacant. But this thing you can monitor over your mobile phone as well. And accordingly, you can take your car to that particular slot. So as because this is a pilot project in the SOTA area, in the small scale, but this can be kindly scaled up to whole city. Okay, so you can check your particular mobile, or you can ask your mobile to find out the free slot, and that particular your mobile phone algorithm can take you to the free slot with the shortest possible route. Okay, so what are the requirements? Requirements are active engagement of people and things, environment aware things. So whatever, whether our IoT devices or things are aware of the environment it is placed. Some interconnectivity resources are required, and data across network we need to send. Some kind of responsive systems we also have to make that if some alert is getting generated, whether some response is coming from some corner or not. If it is not, it is in vain. Basically, it is of no use implementing this kind of technology. But your system should also be responsive if you are utilizing, say, this kind of technology, and these particular kind of alerts are coming to you. Then informed decision making is another requirement, and auto adaptability. If something is required, okay, and some kind of recommendation is being made by the system, the adaptation of the system should be automatic. Then scalability is another issue. Obviously, you can check anything in your lab environment, but unless until it is scalable, you cannot directly plug into the bigger scenario. What are the research challenges? Data gathering, processing, and visualization are the main focuses. Those three are again research challenges, because that it's not because data gathering is challenge, but data gathering at that scale is a challenge. Okay. Now, if scale is big, visualization is another challenge. You have to sum up the whole data and basically do some kind of or adopt some kind of visualization technique so that people or the decision maker can understand or take the decision. Okay. They need not to go through a whole set of data just to make the decision. Then significant amount of data needs to be transported from over the network. So the common network, that is like cellular network, are not designed for that, and that is also costly. So in IoT, we cannot use or cannot rely too much upon those cellular network or the public network, right? As because that much bandwidth is not required by us for the IoT thing, and also that much basically cost we cannot bear if we are thinking about thousands of devices working together. Okay. Then data latency, cost of gathering, these are the thing. The problem of minimizing overall cost. So this is the optimization problem, that how we can optimize the communication and computation cost. Okay. So you might have heard about this, a kind of fog computing or as edge computing in IoT, right? So there basically we are thinking of, we are trying to optimize what, that we need to reduce the data communication over the network. Simultaneously, we need to utilize the computation power which is available near the devices. So how to optimize these two things means with minimum communication, with minimum computation power, how much decision we can make at the local level. And then if it is not sufficient, then we are actually transmitting our data to the cloud. So many fog computing and kind of edge computation, these kind of concepts are coming up. Okay, and then the task assigned to the, now another is that suppose you have got n number of nodes, okay, and m number of devices. Okay, devices means like kind of gateway I am talking about, or some kind of base stations we are talking about, which is having more resources than IoT node. Okay, so which node should be connected with which devices? So that overall cost is minimized, cost in terms of again communication and computation. So that is another design challenge one practitioner has to do. Then again, research question in IoT are that who does what at what time scale and how to put them together. So this is the fundamental question in any multiple system like cyber physical systems, and that also applies in IoT as well. That what should be done at the level of a kind of IoT node, what should be done by gateway level or some kind of fog level, and what thing can be done at the cloud level. So you have to think of that when you are designing the architecture of the system. Okay, so security issue is always there. So presents new security challenge. Why? Because the security is not a kind of centralized security. It's a distributed security. Okay, so maybe one node is getting compromised. That's a different security challenge. But if multiple nodes in a single area or all the nodes in a single area is getting compromised, discovering that is very, very, very difficult. If one node is getting compromised, others are working fine, that is fine. Using some kind of algorithm, or even less than 50% of the nodes are getting compromised, some kind of algorithm we can devise to find out. But if more than 50% of the sensors or the IoT nodes are getting compromised, it's very difficult to get the solution out of it, to find out which nodes are talking what. Then less or no access control, again denial of service and all those kind of security issues are there. Okay, so research question in IoT again being like in the morning session somebody has told community sensing, right? So community sensing, again, if you are hiring some kind of volunteers somewhere or some kind of contributor somewhere, you need to work upon the incentivization process. What kind of incentive they will be getting to help you out or to help the management or help the decision maker. Okay, so that again optimization is coming into picture. There are a number of papers on incentivization mechanism or unbiased incentivization mechanism. You may go through in any transaction IEEE transaction journal. Then convergence and contingency is another issue. Okay. Then called placement of node. Suppose in a city and you are putting some sensor to monitor the maybe pollution in that area. Okay, so what should be the place, strategic place? How you will be searching for a strategic place where it should be giving a kind of representative data of that area. So placement of node is another challenge. What should be the minimum number of node you can utilize for covering whole city? Another challenge, right? So there are hundreds of challenges are there which needs to solution, or basically researcher can pitch in these areas, right? Then trustworthiness, as I told you in the evening, morning session, trust, if we are dealing with the community sensing or kind of hired volunteers, then how we can ensure the trustworthiness of the third party or the data which they are sending, how we can verify that? As because we don't know the ground truth, right? What is the ground truth there? What we are actually doing is that we are monitoring those data and we are taking decision on that. And if this data is wrong, our decision is bound to become wrong, right? So a whole, even after spending money or spending investing in technology, we are going to the or taking the wrong decision. So this is a kind of 2016 paper in IEEE Internet of Things Journal, Fog and IoT Overview of Research Opportunities. If somebody wants to search some kind of problem and they are interested in working in IoT area, they may refer this particular paper. This is a good paper and which actually compiles number of research problems people can work for. Okay. Now a case study, maybe basically I don't think time is there. So I'll be taking some questions and then we'll be shifting to this particular case study if time permits. Okay. So the screen is visible there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is the paper what I was talking about. I'm just trying to show that what kind of problem can arise in transportation domain, which utilizing this kind of network or community-based sensing. Okay. So if you try to see the VCPS can be classified into two different types. One is non-participatory. Okay, VCPS, what is VCPS? It's Vehicular Cyber Physical System. So non-participatory means infrastructure based. Maybe people are putting some kind of sensors, or that sensors has been placed by some kind of municipality people or governance people, and maybe it is CCTV or whatever means whatever kind of sensor can be. So this is infrastructure based sensors and it is non-participatory kind of category. So what happens there? This kind of induction loop or traffic sensor or traffic cameras are being utilized in this kind of non-participatory VCPS, which helps in basically realizing this adaptive traffic signal control or dynamic traffic assignment, right? So another that is which is more contemporary in nature, that is participatory. Means we need not to invest on the infrastructure like this deploying some CCTV for traffic control or some kind of induction loop or some kind of sensors over there, right? So what we can do is that we can utilize the services of the people or services of the people's device for taking the data and utilizing that data for realizing the same kind of adaptive traffic control or signal control like that. Okay. So here what is happening? Here human in the loop coming into picture. What are the possibilities like human perception? Suppose I am saying at a certain place, I am saying that there is a traffic. Okay. So I don't know how many of you have heard about this Google Waze. Google has an application that Waze. Waze is what? Using Waze, WAZD. So Waze, maybe this particular app is too much popular in Western countries, but in India there are a less number of users. However, what it gives a feature that you can report to your community what you are seeing, okay, over the road. Maybe some people have experienced some kind of accident or saw some kind of accident at that place. So what Waze is doing is that they are noting your GPS location and whatever report you are sending, okay, using that particular Waze app, that can be basically sent to this Google server, and Google server accordingly will raise an alert to other people, other communicator in that particular area. Okay, so other communicator can take the informed decision that whether they should be taking that route or they should be avoiding that route. Fine. So that kind of decision can be made utilizing the people's contribution. Accordingly, this gyro sensor of this particular device can be utilized for predicting the traffic condition, or what you can say, the condition of the road, okay, whether the too many potholes are there on that road or not. So Google is not going or coming to that area to see the and monitor the your particular road condition. However, they are utilizing our sensors, the handheld smartphone sensors, to gather those information, and then they are actually issuing the advisory to the other people who is following us or who is again trying to go into that particular area. They also can utilize the OBU. OBU is called, in vehicular domain, OBU is called onboard unit, which has another basically GPS embedded, speed, some kind of a speed sensor is there, steering sensor is there, which angle vehicle is taking which basically turn, everything is there on board, right? So these sensors they are utilizing, and they are basically taking those data and communicating to the people. So suppose some particular vehicle is not moving since long at particular place. So there may be two different reasons. Maybe they basically they are getting parked, but if it is not a suppose I know that is not a parking area, okay, so that may got crashed, or maybe some kind of accident has been made due to in that particular vehicle, or maybe there is a traffic jam. So some kind of traffic event is there. So can we deduce that kind of, or can we have some kind of model that which can give me upper layer information that what can happen to that particular vehicle by just monitoring the small sensors, okay? So the main problem is that suppose you consider this particular scenario, there is a traffic jam over here, and some participatory sensing vehicle, which I am relying for participatory sensing, they are raising an alert for communication jam, okay? And this particular, using this Waze, Google Waze apps, they are sending these alert to the Google Cloud, and Google Cloud in turn receives that jam alert and sends to different guys, other guys who are approaching you, okay? So what they will be doing is that if they are actually coming to this particular area, they won't come over here, they will take a diversion, okay? It has two effects. One effect is that this particular traffic jam is not further getting aggravated. Means whatever the status is that there, either it will be reducing or it will be maintained as a status quo. Another is that they may be actually reducing the person who has got that particular alert, they may reduce their communication time or commutation time, okay? Another scenario can be like vehicle itself is raising alert. I'm not utilizing any human being for that, okay? So any app like Waze, Google Waze is not being utilized over there, but vehicle is capable enough. Nowadays, this vehicular network means the vehicles, new age vehicles are coming with the communication capability, so they can communicate within the vehicle. So vehicle to vehicle communication is possible, and vehicle to infrastructure communication is also possible. So some kind of infrastructure, roadside infrastructure is there, so they can communicate with that, and that is raising alert to the other vehicle, and the same thing can happen. So this is called VCPS, Vehicular Cyber Physical System. So it's a cyber physical system which actually helps this vehicle or taking the help of commuters for basically resolving the dynamics of the transportation. So what is the problem in participatory VCPS? Participatory means where we are actually believing the unknown people or unknown nodes. So forced information can be one of the problem which actually contributes to this false information. And this false information may come from cyber agent as well as human agent. Then location spoofing. that they are at place A, but they are telling that at place B there is a jam. What you can do? How you can verify? As because this GPS location can be spoofed, easily can be spoofed. Then how you will be verifying that whatever they are in basically informing that is right or wrong? Okay, or they are withholding the reports. Means if they something has happened now, they will be replaying that report after certain time. Okay, so as because this is temporal domain has been shifted, so that has no relevance after certain time. Or there may be a kind of perception error, human perception error, that maybe there is a some kind of accident happened. So accident can be viewed by the person who is ahead of the traffic, but the person who is behind the traffic, they may report it a kind of traffic jam. Okay, so maybe there are multiple reporters. Few people are telling it's a traffic jam. Another people are telling this is a accident. What you should, as a Google server, what they should be basically what kind of alert they should be raising, whether it's a traffic jam or it's an accident. Okay, Google cannot send two different information for the same thing. So they need to decide which kind of information and which is the correct information. Then human misbehavior means for fun, I am trying to do something. I am actually sending the wrong information. This may happen. Or sometimes if cyber agent is there, their sensor itself is not calibrated or faulty. So they are raising basically very random value or something, some random, and due to which the central cloud system is getting confused. Okay. So why information falsification? To satisfy the human sadistic pleasure, to gather more and more incentives, as because I told you that if we are hiring some kind of services from some community, we need to incentivize them. That incentivization may not be in terms of money, maybe some kind of gaming. Some points are getting gathered. If I am suppose contributing few information, so I'll be getting few points. Okay, and that those points I may be utilizing for getting more services or different services. So that those kind of thing may come into this incentive category. Get preferential treatment. I may be requiring that road should be vacant. So what I am doing is that I should be sending information to all that there is a traffic jam, don't go in that road. And according when I am sending this information, people will not be going in that road, and I will be having the pleasure of going on that road alone. Okay, so that kind of intention may be there, or helping criminals, maybe some kind of attack, some kind of adversely impact, and this kind of thing will be impacting the decision of the traffic authority. Okay, maybe some people are doing this kind of thing for economic gain, for insurance fraud or car theft. So that kind of disruption can be made by utilizing this information falsification problem. Okay. So research question here is how to identify the spoofed and false event reports in absence of ground truth. Again, I am telling you, Google is not coming to verify your place. So what they're thinking, what they're believing is that whatever information you are sharing with that particular Google, they are actually based on those information. They are doing some kind of churning of those data and trying to find out some information, and then that is being shared by the other people. Okay, but if ground truth is not there, is that kind of Google system or some kind of analytical system, they can verify the correctness of the reports. Okay, so this particular paper is actually devising that particular framework, and it is called SAFE, Spoofed and False Report Eradicator. So this has been published in ACM Transaction on Cyber Physical System. So what it does is that actually this is the cyber physical VCPS domain, where it works. The the applied or the proposed area is working at this particular point. What it does is that it is consistently getting the reports of different nodes, and they are trying to check the quality of contribution of each particular agent. Means it may be cyber agent or means human agent, and they are trying to continuously calculate the reputation the way what we are doing in the kind of human domain, right? In daily life, what we are doing is that suppose some person is coming to you and telling you some information, whether you are going to believe directly or you are getting it verified by someone else. Okay. But the same person, if coming 10 times to you, and in 10 times you have got some kind of information which was correct. Okay. So if then what you are doing is that over the time you are developing a belief on that particular person or that particular agent, right? The same kind of thing we can utilize or model over here in mathematical term. And if we can model this particular belief in mathematical term, somehow we can, at least probabilistically, we can find out or eradicate this kind of falsification problem. Okay. So solution approach was there mentioned. Suppose this is a kind of scenario. Okay. So VCPS server is there, maybe a cloud server, Wiz server is there, or Wiz cloud is there, and there is a reason A. Okay. And in reason A, node X is reporting jam. Jam for what? Jam for reason A. Okay. So another area. So this is the normal scenario. Another scenario can be there is a reason B and reason C. Okay. And people or some node, whether it is cyber agent or again human agent, they are in reason B, but reporting that I am in region C and there is a traffic jam over here, or there is an accident over here. Can we verify? Because as a server or as a cloud or as a kind of service provider, I'm not knowing the ground truth. I'm totally depending upon the participants' feedback. Okay. So can we do that? So here basically we proposed quality of contribution assessment, and quality of contribution assessment we developed a few mathematical model, and few mathematical model as because time is not there, I'm not going through detail. If somebody is interested, they can go through that particular paper. So mathematical model, we utilize Joshang model and a kind of utility theory over here, and we found the opinion which is getting built up a kind of after a certain time. Okay, and that opinion is getting calculated based on belief, disbelief, and uncertainty parameter. Okay, and then those opinion, what we can say is that it's not opinion, it's an expectation of opinion that we are utilizing for calculating the trustworthiness or reputation over time. Okay. So what we are doing is that to model this opinion expectation coefficient, we used Gompers function over here, and Gompers function, utilizing this Gompers function, we found the coefficient. So how much basically weightage we should be giving to the opinion, and accordingly we also tried to model this context. Context means, suppose I'm talking about maybe some area which normally used to be kind of not populated that much. Okay. And if somebody is reporting congestion or some kind of traffic jam over there, obviously that is actually creating some kind of suspense. And if that can be modeled using some mathematical equation, so what we can do is that we can take that those context into picture, and we can find out the reputation of that particular contributor. And this is called quality of contribution of the reports. Okay. So quality of contribution is getting mapped. I'm not going in the mathematical format, as because that may take time, and maybe some of you are not that much interested in mathematics. So rest, then we will be calculating the reputation score of each person, and then we have modeled two level decision kind of thing. One level is that if some report is coming and to coming from different people who are having so much reputation, or their opinion is of some kind of having utility, and what's the utility value of that. So we used utility theory over here. This utility theory again is a kind of basically very famous theory. I think that particular theory has also won the Nobel Prize for that. It was having a kind of uses in economic domain. Okay, so economics domain. So utility theory we utilized over here, and for taking decision that which particular report we should be taking into consideration and which we should not be. And then we utilized a kind of threshold value for whether to make the decision whether the particular report should be published or not published, or which report should be correct. So then we did some kind of modeling again for the utility of all those year contribution. And basically, though the utility theory is n outcome risky prospects, that suppose there are the possibility of 100 outcomes, so which outcome we should be selecting. Okay, so that is called n outcome risky prospects. But here we utilize one outcome, so n become 1 over here. Why 1? Because we have to decide only if somebody has reported jam, should we believe or not. Okay. So if jam is there or not, we have to take that much decision. So it become a kind of, though it is a generalized model, we actually used its simple form, and we took n equal to 1, and we utilized this utility theory. Okay, and accordingly we did some kind of experimental evaluation using synthetic data as well as real data. So real data, we took around 289 GPS traces of 289 taxi cabs, which is available in the public domain, these GPS traces. So real taxi mounted smartphone app generated data we took, and we utilized those data sets for finding out the solution, means the effectivity of our algorithm. And we found that whatever is actually whatever existing solution is there, our solution actually gave in most of the cases better result. Okay, so finally with this, I think now everybody can know, or everybody can guess what was FC. So FC was nothing but it's IoT. Maybe Dr. Sen will be happy to know that FC is
Yes, nice.